Aloha, y'all. It is Wednesday, Woden's Day, named after Odin, Woden, Wednesday. The 2nd of April. It's a Mercury ruled day esoterically. Before I get into the astrology, I'll show you the cards we're going to talk about. The Three of Swords, the Eight of Swords, and the Rhinoceros is the Divine Animal Oracle card of the day in the wild card. So the Sun is at Aries, 12 degrees, Moon, Gemini, 9 degrees, Mercury, 27 degrees, Pisces, retrograde. Venus 26 degrees Pisces retrograde. Those are conjunct. Mars 24 Cancer, Jupiter 16 Gemini, Saturn 24 Pisces. That's conjunct the Venus Mercury situation. Uranus 24 Taurus, Neptune 0 degrees Aries, Pluto 3 Aquarius, North Node 27 Pisces. That's exactly conjunct Mercury and Venus by a degree, and Saturn by 3 degrees. Black Moon Lilith 0 degrees Scorpio, and Chiron 22 degrees Aries. The major aspects right now, the moon is trining Pluto. Mars is trining Saturn, Mercury, Venus, North Node, and Neptune. Mars is squaring Chiron. Pluto is squaring Black Moon Lilith. Mars is squaring Black Moon Lilith. Those are the major aspects. So the cards we pulled, Three of Swords to start with. If you're a sword, you're a mind, you're an air sign. Your air signs most resonate with the swords, I should say. That's their suit. But everybody has a mind. So if you're a Gemini, Libra, or an Aquarius, you are a sword inherently. The Three of Swords on page 126. Freedom arrived at through despair. Question everything. Ask quality questions. Moon and Gemini, Jupiter and Gemini. Life is cruel and without meaning. So the Three of Swords, I see life as cruel and meaningless. Seeing a world which appears to be cruel and uncompromising can bring us to a point of despair. In the Three of Swords, a young man sits with his head down. We can feel his sense of deep sadness. I imagine him as a street artist expressing this anguish through his art, which appears behind him on the wall. The head of the floating surreal figure is a mask of shame, a medieval torture device worn for the purpose of public humiliation and rejection. Throughout history, people have been forced to display a mark of shame, a stigma to deter others. This taps into something very primal. In early humans, where survival was intimately linked with collaboration, to be rejected by your tribe was effectively a death sentence. In later cultures, artists, writers, intellectuals, anyone who dared to think differently or admit a different sexual orientation risked being shamed and outcast. The violence and suffering human beings can inflict on other humans, and indeed all living creatures, beggars belief. And yet it exists and cannot be ignored. Three swords are propped up against the wall. One of them looks like it's falling against the sitting figure. These swords appear as if they have been carelessly left behind by their owners. As objects, they are crafted pieces of metal sitting against the wall, yet in the hands of men, they can cause unimaginable suffering. The hawk and the feather remind us of the possibility of freedom, even in the face of despair. The dripping heart, painted almost as an afterthought, communicates that only through love, the heart, can we be liberated from the burdens of existence. The luminous fetus offers us hope of rebirth which awaits within the darkest depths. This fullness of being can only be reached when we are able to touch our deepest sorrow. The roughly painted question mark sign gives us a clue as to how we can transform our reality. The Three of Swords suggests the quality of your life experience is directly proportionate to the quality of the questions that you ask. Jupiter in Gemini, Moon in Gemini, Aries Sun. And so another interpretation of the figure emerges as one who, like the Buddha, sits determined to penetrate the truth. Pluto in Aquarius. He will not move from his spot until he has an answer. Many spiritual teachings describe how we must go down through layer after layer of our personality until we get to the last layer and fall through it into meaningless and empty space. But if we are able to fall yet further into the darkness of meaninglessness, we arrive at no thing, and from nothing we can create anything. Neptune conjunct the North Node. This card tells us our sorrow must be acknowledged. The despair is something we all share. When we see how it carries the seeds of new growth, we can surrender to it, allowing it to move through and transform us. So the freedom arrived at through despair, questioning everything with quality questions, and life is cruel and meaningless. And the clarifying card is also a sword, so once again, the air signs vibing on this Pegasus floating on the wings of the angels and up in the clouds with the rainbows, right? Very high vibe stuff. But the Eight of Swords is on page 136. I use what restricts to expand, right? When we're down and out, we can use that to expand our hearts into a deeper level of creativity. Exploring the realm of constriction and how that frees you, the power of surrender, freedom is a state of mind. Become a catalyst for transformation. I think the idea here today on this Mercury ruled day, on this Woden's day, is that we can tap into even our Eeyore, like Eeyore and Tigger. Like Tigger's like, hell yeah, high vibe. And then Eeyore's like, oh, I don't know, I feel shitty. It's like, no matter where we are in the sine wave, summer or winter, highs or lows, we have the capacity to be creative and acceptant of the changes that can come through heart. The mind, the swords, can get caught up in all the details, and if we're not asking the right questions, if we're getting confused in all the data, we can lose hope. We can get existentially, funky, get into a crisis of identity. The way out of that is to go deeper, know that it is meaningless and that your life is a canvas. You can kind of paint like a street artist and be free, and that's how you rise, you enlighten, you lighten up, you ascend to a new perspective where everything is awesome, even the bad things you'll be thankful for. Like there's nothing's out of alignment, right? So the last card, the wild card we're getting for today is the Divine Animal Oracle. It is the Rhinoceros. It is number 32, I believe. Yes. She's been on my podcast. This guy's been on my podcast. If you don't know about the Team Rabbit Hole podcast, check it out. We did episode 305 yesterday with this artist, Samuel Ferrand. Amazing guy. Anyway, the 32, the Rhino, on page 128, moderation. Seek moderation in all things. Find the middle path. Not everything is an extreme choice of black versus white. Being passionate about something is positive, but to be obsessed may not be. Leave behind what you no longer need. And then the magic of the rhino is a beautiful dance between strength, power, and moderation. This is an incredibly powerful animal, and yet this is balanced with calm and restraint. So, whether it's good times, bad times, whether we're like stuck in our heads and depressed or floating on wings, we can be constricted, right? We can feel trapped. And how do we use that cocoon to become the butterfly, right? How do we rise from the ashes like a phoenix? By the middle path. It's yin and yang. You can't just have white all the time. There's going to be a little black. You can't just have black all the time. There's a little white. There's silver linings on the clouds. So if you can get your head in the game properly and use what constricts you, Eight of Swords, to expand, even though you feel heartbroken and lost and miserable, Three of Swords, if you can find that middle path and be both Eeyore and Tigger, if you can be the light and the dark and integrate it, like Carl Jung, right? You're going to find that the moderation, the middle path, the way of the Tao, will lead you towards your heart and to new forms of creativity, expression, and being. So, like I said, we had a great podcast yesterday. Check it out. I'll post it in the comments, episode 305. If you've enjoyed this, leave a tip. Holler for a reading. Tag somebody. Obviously, the more people are aware of this, the more the magic can spread. So, enjoy your Woden's Day, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Adios.